You're ready then?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Man, you got me at an impasse. I don't know how to start. I'm generally not a lack for words. Well, nobody wants to be stuck in a rut, and I go back to one of my mentors in hunting is my Uncle Brad, and he always thought outside the box. So I grasped a lot of that from him, and then me and Wes started hunting together, and I've just always been of the thought, if I can see it, I can kill it. So if I can see, I don't want to stay in the tree. I will be in a tree, but I'll get out of the tree. You know, you can go all the way back to things like, you know, they joked me about corn stalks on my head, but it's a true story. I held corn stalks on my head and walked up to a big bedded buck and shot him. You know, I'm willing to try anything at least once, you know, to make it happen. So.
He's in the river. Seriously? He's in the river. Oh, man.
Me and Laythan, we've been hunting together for numerous years, and at this point, we pretty much can finish each other's sentences. And I've ultimately decided that even Batman had Robin, so he makes a good sidekick. Me and Laythan, we fit really well. We take turns when it comes to video and hunting, but it just always seems like I've been better on the technical end of it. So I'm a good cameraman, he's a good hunter, and it worked out for us. It's worked out over the years.
Congratulations, man.
Look at that. Oh my word.
Dude.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 scoreable points on them. Oh, I can't even say nothing.
There ain't nothing that needs to be said. That right there is all you need.
I'm telling you, a big old gnarly, purlinged up, stickered up, chocolate, wet horn bottoms buck right there.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by the Ultra Rest by Quality Archery Designs, America's Archery Accessories. Sitka, turning clothing into gear. Dead Center Archery Products, American-made precision-engineered stabilization solutions. And Shine's Scents. Make a deer's nose his worst enemy.
There was one deer in particular that we really had our heart set on this year. Over the summer, we started getting pictures of this deer, and he had this one particular point that was unique. So we called him Dagger, and as soon as season came in, we knew that was somewhere that we wanted to start frequenting. Whenever our vacation came around, me and Laythan, for years, we've hunted all over the place, and we decided this year we were gonna kind of narrow it down, and we sat in one stand for 4 days straight. And after 4 days, Laythan was like, I am done with this spot, let's go somewhere else. It just so happened that morning while we were sitting in a totally different spot, my phone, pictures come up on my phone, and it's the Dagger buck standing right in front of the stand that we had just left. Obviously, we're frustrated. We had been sitting there for days, and now that buck that we were after was back there. So we got down and literally got a cheeseburger and headed right back to the stand where we knew he had been that morning.
I mean, there's a lot of bad focus on this slide. It's not bad, man. I think we should focus right on the top of it. Oh, I see. Oh, right there, you see, right there.
Nothing can be more rewarding than deer hunting, and nothing can be more frustrating than deer hunting at times. That's how I feel.
This segment brought to you by Matthews Archery.
The right arrow weight per hunter depends on your draw weight and draw length. If you're a shorter draw person, you're going to need a lighter arrow. If you're a taller person and stronger, you're going to need more arrow weight. Arrow weight does dictate your kinetic energy. So more arrow weight equals more penetration and more kinetic energy. Too much arrow weight can also slow your arrow down. Personally, I don't like to shoot a hunting arrow that's going under 270 feet per second. To shoot speeds hunting under 270 feet per second should be because you're shooting a shorter draw or less poundage. Personally, I prefer a heavy arrow hunting. A lighter arrow is faster, and a lot of times speed does just make you miss quicker. It can also drift more in the wind. You can also get manipulation if you hit a branch. If you hit bone in the animal, it can cause quicker deflection of your arrow, where a heavier arrow has more kinetic energy and it's driven to stay on line better.
Well, 3 years ago, there used to be a patch of ground. I'd work in that area a lot and drive by it, and I remember driving by that ground thinking, man, that's got to be a dynamite place to hunt. And then, lo and behold, Wes gets permission through his in-laws to hunt next to it. In that, we'd heard the stories about this big albino buck, or an albino buck, and we didn't know how big he was. Everyone says big, but till you see him. And finally, towards the end of the rut one year, we finally got a look at him. Wes thought he was somebody walking around in the set-aside with a white sweatshirt on. He goes, man, somebody's walking around out there with a white sweatshirt on messing our hunt up. And then he comes out from behind the cedar tree, and I realized, oh, well, that's him. There he is. That's the one we've been wanting to see him. So, and he was big. He was a good deer, and we've made it kind of our goal. Of course, they're protected in Illinois, but we kind of made it our goal that we wanted to be able to film him, at bow range. And finally, this year, it took 3 years, but finally it took place, and he passed us. Just had our white buck. We don't know what to call him. We're not very good at naming deer. But Gandalf, Whitey, Ghost, Casper, 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million. But he just went by. We're gonna rattle real quick. Might pull him back. I doubt it. He spent enough time as a decoy. He never spooked, but he spent enough time. He's probably gonna go look for something else. So.
The Suspense Bow Case from Elevation, a revolutionary bow case featuring 2-piece design, suspension hooks, field mat, accessory components, and garment storage. Elevation. Above standard is our standard.
Me and Wes always take our vacation together, and we just take turns filming. Two hunts is kind of how we do it. We both get a morning and an evening. So we'd hunted together all week, and then come Wednesday, Wes had to go back to work for one evening, had to take care of some business, and being the time of year it was, November, I decided, I was gonna go out and sit by myself that evening. All right, here we go. Wes had to work tonight, so I'm on my own. So my plan is just to sit on the ground. When I pulled up here, there was a knucklehead 6-pointer we've been thinking about shooting. He about messed around, stayed here long enough that he finally left. So I got the Dave Smith decoy. The hunt tonight is I'm totally depending on trying to pull something off the edge of this wood. So I'm gonna go down here by myself, get set on this levee with the Dave Smith decoy and see if he can do his magic. So, when you're filming yourself, it's always like a crazy challenge. I've seen people film themselves that the footage turned out pretty good, but it's generally 9 times out of 10 never as good as when you've got somebody, running your camera. But especially off the ground, you're trying to move things and get things set when a deer's on the move, and trying to get them to stay in one place, and you're drawing your bow and letting it down, So it's definitely one of the toughest things you'll ever do is film a good whitetail yourself with a bow. Yeah, so it was a pretty typical evening. I sat there, hadn't seen a whole lot, hadn't seen anything actually, and it's just one of those typicals, that last hour of daylight, I looked down the edge of that 80-acre patch or whatever it is, and outsteps a pretty nice buck. And you know, you get your binos on him, and at that point I'd done made a decision. If I can pull him to this decoy and get him shot off the ground, this is one I'm going to take. Well, I've been hunting 20-some years, and at that point, when I know it's starting to get close to happen, all the nerves still kick in. I mean, I'm a little better maybe at honing them in now than in the beginning, but I definitely I start getting excited, get the jitters, get the shakes, and I'm starting to think everything's got to be right on this camera. And inevitably, by yourself off the ground, I mean, like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be right. Maybe a little bit out of focus. Decoy every time. If you can get a deer to see it, this time of year he'll come almost every time. My only problem is I do have no clue where I hit him. He ran out there about 130 yards and just stood for a couple minutes, and if you're a bow hunter, you know you don't want to see that, but I hit him. I know I hit him. I have to call Wes. It never fails. The one evening he couldn't go, he had to go back into work. So I based everything on trying to suck something out of that woods to this decoy, and it worked like a charm. So all I know is I'll just have to probably wait till morning. Maybe we can find my arrow, find the first part of blood, get Wes out here after dark. It's getting close to dark now. I'll call him and see, but I will find him in the morning. Day before Thanksgiving. Actually shot him last night. I was nervous. I told Wes, I tell him every time I don't see him go down anymore, I was nervous, and he put us on a track. He did come up through this timber a long ways, but here he is. Man, how about that? That is pretty sweet. The day before Thanksgiving, get something to be thankful for. Shot him off the ground over my Dave Smith decoy. Me and Wes, golly gee, we stand by that thing pretty firm. I think this makes the 4th or 5th buck I've shot with it, and there was no doubt he was leaving. I give him a wheeze and he come right to the decoy. So man, that's sweet. When you hunt hard and you finally get one that you want to take close, there's nothing like it.